You are watching this podcast to get an introduction to learning goals and scales. The first step to building learning goals and scales is to unpack the standards. When you begin to unpack the standards, you will notice two types of knowledge: procedural knowledge and declarative knowledge. Procedural knowledge addresses the skills or processes that the student will be expected to perform. Make sure that you check out the verbs in the standard. Teaching this involves modeling the skill, guided practice, feedback and correction of errors or misunderstanding, and various types of practice until students can apply this on their own. Declarative knowledge is the informational knowledge that students will understand in regards to the content that is being addressed. As you look at the standard, you will want to look at the nouns and focus on things like the vocabulary, terms, facts, time sequences, generalizations, or principles that are essential for students to build upon as they attain more complex skills. This really does lay the foundation for more complex content through varied experiences. Typically, the level 2 in a scale will include the foundational targets. These are the learning targets that contain essential prerequisites or knowledge that students must have before they can go deeper into their learning of the standard. There are two types of foundational targets that you will build in the level 2. Number 1, those that identify declarative knowledge, including like vocabulary terms that students did not attain in the previous level of learning, and procedural knowledge, including the underpinnings of future targets that were not acquired in the previous level of learning. This may include a quick review in order to help refresh students' memory. The level 3 in your scale will be the learning goal target for the standard. You will want to make sure that you build this so that it matches the cognitive complexity of the standard. You will want to make sure that you know exactly what the standard expects students to know, understand, and do in order to demonstrate that they have mastered the standard. The next thing you will want to do is build the level 4 of your scale. This includes very cognitively complex targets. The level 4 of the learning goal and scale will extend and deepen knowledge. It will include a more rigorous application of learning beyond what is set forth by the standard. The first thing you will want to do for building learning goals and scales is to unpack the standard. You will want to identify the nouns and the verbs of the declarative and procedural knowledge of the standard, and then chunk it out and put it in student-friendly terms for the level 3. You will also want to create your level 2 by unpacking the foundational targets, and lastly, create your level 4 by creating cognitively complex targets that challenge students to extend their thinking. Take a minute to review these high school biology standards. Notice that the nouns are underlined and the verbs are circled. This will help you unpack the standard so that you can chunk it out and put the learning goal and scale into student-friendly terms. You can now see how the standard was translated into a learning goal target that is easy for students to understand. The learning targets are chunked out so that it is more easy for students to understand exactly what they are expected to know, understand, and do to show mastery of the standard. This sample will help you see how the level 2 for the scale was built by chunking out the foundational targets that students will need to understand and also the foundational processes that students must be able to do. It is critical for students to master these foundational targets to help support their learning to master the actual standard. You may want to pause the podcast to get a better look at this. Take a minute to look at the scale to see how it all turned out. If you are interested in learning how to construct learning goals and scales in an efficient way, please ask us for the book Creating and Using Learning Targets and Performance Scales by Moore, Garst, and Marzano. We will gladly support your learning.